under the charter, if you're stopped by the police, including being pulled over, you're entitled to be told the reason why, and the police have a legal obligation to tell you why. But what happens if they don't? Realistically, what happens if they don't, in the vast majority of the cases, is nothing. And the reason that nothing happens is a couple things. Number one, oftentimes when you're pulled over, the reason that you were pulled over is going to be obvious. If you run a stop sign and you're pulled over by the police officer immediately after running the stop sign, you probably know that that was the reason you were stopped. Does that excuse the officer from their obligation? No. But it can mean that if you were trying to argue later that there was a breach of your rights because you weren't told the initial reason for your detention, that because you could infer your detention reasons from the circumstances, there shouldn't be a remedy. There was a very technical breach of your rights, but it had no real impact on you. It was a minor, trivial breach. But there are other circumstances where the nature of the detention can shift. You could be pulled over for speeding, and then all of a sudden the police start to investigate you for impaired driving, for example. And in those situations, the law requires that the police officer then tell you when the detention shifts from a detention for example, being stopped for speeding into an investigation in impaired driving. But again, the courts have found that in some circumstances that can be inferred from context. If it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you're stopped for speeding, and then the officer starts questioning you about drinking, you're probably going to be able to figure out that now they're no longer really so focused on the speeding, they're more focused on whether or not you've consumed alcohol. So again, that would be considered a very technical breach and not specifically telling you if there was a breach found at all, but it wouldn't be enough to justify a remedy. Does that mean that there's never a remedy if the police don't tell you why you're being detained? Absolutely not. And I've succeeded in lots of cases based on this, but it's all about showing how the circumstances would have led to confusion unless it was clearly explained to the person why they were being detained or that the nature of their detention had shifted. And that's why it's always very important when you're arguing issues related to your charter rights and that police have violated your rights to consult with a lawyer and to get proper legal representation.